game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy and electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Bucs fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Buccateers podcast this fine Tuesday evening. You can catch us every Tuesday here during the off season at 6:45 Eastern time, and it's going to be a good one tonight. We got a full crew aboard. We got all hands on deck. We will be here till 7:30 Eastern time. It's the lady's birthday, so none I can do. Before I get, in trouble, something like that. But we got a good crew here. We got co-host Stunna. We got the great JC Allen of Pewter Report. We got J-Lo, the lifelong Bucs fan and listener of the show. So it's going to be a hell of a 45, 35, whatever the heck we got minutes in the building. And we're going to start by bringing in JC. JC, thanks for joining us, brother. How the heck are you? Are you feeling better than Dominic Mysterio lately, or are you feeling a little bit like Dom nowadays?
I haven't caught up on last night yet. I plan on doing that tonight. I got through the first hour in like 20 minutes or so. Talk about bangers. I mean, that Becky Sonya match was great, and then followed up with Gunther versus KO banger. But I'm excited to get the rest of it underway tonight. And hey, at the end of the day, Dom is a prison hard man. He's got mommy on his right side, so you're always feeling good.
Oh, never a bad thing to have mommy on your side, especially when it's one like Rhea Ripley. But the great JC Allen's always a treat here, so we're excited to talk with great friend of the shows. He's been on since his Bucs Report days. Now it's in the heart of his Pewter Report days, and he keeps moving up the ladder. So beautiful to see.
Trying to.
JC Allen, man among many titles, barbecue enthusiast, but I go through him every time. So if you want to look at those titles or listen to him, check out JC's info. I think it's JC Allen NFL on Twitter, correct, sir?
Yes, sir. That's it. So you can find me, one-stop shop for all your Bucs news, whether it's from Pewter Report, the Buccaneers themselves, PFF rankings, etc. I find it. I tweet it. It's there. My own stuff. Check out the Twitter. Everything you need is right there.
I guess I'm a big fan of your page since I memorize your Twitter by heart by now. So there we go, brother. Never a bad thing. We got J-Lo in the house as well. Jeremy, thanks for joining. Always a pleasure with you. You've been on a couple times now. You know your stuff, brother. Excited to spit the bit with you.
Likewise, man. Appreciate having me on.
Absolutely.
Especially having JC on, big fan of his work. Even though he's a Boston, lover, but it's okay.
Boston.
Hey,
from Boston.
It's okay. You got to have a Boston guy in Florida, or else it wouldn't be Florida without having your Bostonians or New Yorkians around there as well. That's a beautiful thing about Florida is we got some guests in the house right now as well. The Godfathers joining us on Facebook. We appreciate that. Cleve and me in the house. We here, big wrestling guy Joe, Mike, Puckhead. Hey, long time no see. Sorry, been busy drinking Nebraska Gatorade, and happy B-Day to Olivia. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that, Mike. Our great Nebraskan contributor to the show. So all things Nebraska there. Sorry about you being stuck with Matt Rule, but he'll be a better collegiate coach than he was an NFL head coach anyways. So Nebraska might turn the corner, probably not, but they might for you, Mr. Mike Puckhead. We appreciate you tuning in. And we got Mike D. Get my mug on the show.
Mike doesn't know what brisket is.
Yeah, hey, JC, what favorite type of brisket to cook so we could remind? Yeah, I forgot you didn't know about brisket. Then we're going to bring the Stunna in, and then we're going to get to the good stuff.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. What's happening, fellas? Another's time in the summer shine.
What up, son?
What
JC,
up? What up?
favorite type of brisket, brother?
I mean, any brisket's good to cook. I mean, you just throw that on the smoker, low and slow, get a nice bark on it, and we're popping off.
Mike said he had brisket, so there you go. Maybe maybe you convinced him a little bit, JC. Maybe you got to him a little bit. Good to see Mike eating good. Good to see him getting his brisket in. It is important. The Godfather comment just got back from the gym. Anthony tuned in late. It's okay, Godfather. We appreciate you tuning in. You're not too late, to be honest. So better late than never. Hope the gym went well, training, boxing, and all. But we are here talking the great thing we all love, Buccaneer football. And I'll start with putting this out there. We're going to get into JC's OTA report here shortly. Anything that's been going on, any little tidbits there, any news today. But I want to start with this. We've heard from a couple of offensive linemen today, some of our better offensive linemen, quite honestly, Ryan Jensen, Tristan Wirfs. It's interesting to see a surprisingly good turnout at OTAs. Not surprising, but it's nice to see that sort of turnout, these sort of veterans. However, Jensen seems to perhaps maybe not be over that injury at this given time. He seems a little slowed out there. Todd Bowles said we'll see where he's at, and it didn't sound too great, obviously, after Jensen came back for the playoff game last year. We heard him say he had a plethora of things wrong with his leg. We heard him say he had numerous problems, numerous injuries. And is this going to be something that kind of continues to linger on with Ryan Jensen throughout this year at the very least, and maybe through the rest of his career? JC, I'd like to get your thoughts when you get a minute on Ryan Jensen, and if we should be concerned as Bucs fans, Bucs podcasters, whatever the hell we might be, about Ryan Jensen and his current status.
Yeah, I think with Jensen, obviously at his age, you want to give him as much time to recover as possible. I think, pretty much Todd Bowles and Ryan Jensen said it after that playoff game. Football players want to play football, and that's what you saw him try to come back for that final playoff game and that push to see if they could have done something and made some opportunities and advance in the playoffs. But at this stage and point, you really don't need Jensen for OTAs. You don't need him for minicamp. As long as he's out there getting some mental reps and everything like that, that's really the most you can hope for. I feel like he'll be ready for training camp. It's still almost 2 months away now. We're still in the beginning of June. It'll start at the end of July. So, let him continue to rehab. Let him continue to make sure that it's 100%, because the last thing you really want is to rush him back. Even though he's already came back, I feel like the longer he has time to recover, recuperate, feel 100% on that knee, because obviously in that playoff game, he was not 100%. He was probably more around 60% there. They probably gave him some nice Toradol to take care of any pain that popped up. Obviously, the doctors said, and the doctors, not just the team doctors, but the doctors he's been going to throughout the season, that he trusted and told him that he did not need surgery, which apparently could have been season-ending or career-ending surgery for him. Signed off on him playing in that playoff game. But yeah, I mean, just give him the time he needs. Last thing you want is to rush him back for mandatory minicamp and have him re-injure his knee or tear something, and now he's gone for the season again. So, Hainsey did step up, and I think Hainsey did a great job last year at center. It's just he doesn't bring that same mentality, that same fire, that same nastiness and aggression that Jensen brought there. So let him take his time. In the meantime, Hainsey can take those reps. What we've seen is Leverett has been taking those starting center reps, really. And Hainsey's been working at the guard positions, get him some more experience there with a full season under his belt, which just helps the versatility of this team going forward when you have multiple guys who can play multiple spots in the interior of the line.
Yeah, and I think that's some very good points there. I agree with you. I'm not really concerned about the whole Jensen thing as well. We're so early in the game still. I mean, football is right around the corner, but in the grand spectrum of things, the important football is far, far ahead of us in terms of weeks, days, months away still at this very point. Jensen has about 3 months to heal up, get ready, sit his ass if he needs to, and really just rehab, get out there, run around, try and get used and comfortable again. Jeremy, you're probably in agreement with JC, I would imagine, on the whole Jensen thing. I don't think anyone is bickering about it too much. And Todd Bowles is one of those head coaches who will deceive you with his comments a little bit and make it seem like things are worse at times, I feel like. Not in a bad way, but it's just coaches speak.
Right.
No, I agree. Like I said, I wouldn't stress it. It's OTAs. I mean, let's not rush the man back. Let him come back, when he's ready. I'm all aboard with the guys that are there now. Get the reps in. Let them get used to the quarterback system, the offensive system. I'm all for it. I'm just glad that, he at least, made it there, joined the team, out there. Just kind of, being supportive, to me, that's what it's all about, be there, support your teammates if you have the time to do it. That's my thing. So I'm all for it. Let him come back on his, when he's ready.
Excellent. Go ahead, JC.
I think one thing too is it's not like, okay, we need to see how he does in contact, right? You don't need to see how Jensen does in contact because you got that playoff game. So right now you could literally sit him all the way through until the first preseason game if you wanted to, second preseason game, even throughout training camp. Really, if he needs that time, because you've seen him go out there and take contact to that knee, take hits. It's not like a situation with Godwin or anything like that where, maybe when he was coming back, maybe you want to see him take some contact. He's already done it. Now it's just about making sure that's 100%. He's going to get the offense down. He's a smart guy. I'm sure even though he hasn't been there, he's still been getting all the installs. I doubt he's just, cooking brisket, playing some game, playing, Call of Duty and working on his house out there in Colorado. I'm sure he's still getting some training in 1,000%. So at this point, yeah, just let him take the time he needs when he feels ready, when the team feels comfortable, when he's ready. As Jeremy just said, it's a great time to let these guys get more experience, more reps. And obviously you want him to get reps with the quarterbacks. I think that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I mean, the quarterback center exchange for how important it is can be done relatively smoothly. And he just had one of the most meticulous quarterbacks under his butt for the past three years. I don't know if I'm curious to see. That's the one thing I want to ask these guys when we come around. Is the baby powder towel going to continue, or is that over now that Tom's gone?
Maybe Baker likes no baby powder. Maybe his friction ability is a little different down there. Maybe he likes the swamp or whatnot. But before we get to this fun question by JCL or for JCL, and I should say, from Cleve and me, Stunna, thoughts quick on Jensen? Any rebuttal to any of that? Stunna?
What? I'm sorry. Repeat that, please.
Any rebuttal to any of the Jensen discussion before we move on here?
Did he try to rush back and tear it worse? Is he not clear for contact? I don't understand the context really.
Stunna's just not paying attention at all.
I had something going on. But no, Jensen, man, he don't need to play in the pre.
Cheech and Chong, as Pat Donovan said, Son is hanging with Cheech and Chong right now. But
they're on Twitter. They're on Twitter. No, man, but we don't need to rush him back. He really don't need to even play in the preseason. He's a veteran, and I hope he plays out his contract.
All right, well, good recovery. Started off bumpy, smoother landing there, so we appreciate you getting your.
No, but I really don't know the context. Is he being held out of OTAs? Is he, not clear for contact? What's going on with that? JC, got anything?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's not cleared for contact. I think it's just being cautious right now. Obviously, when you lose a guy like Jensen's caliber early last year. And he's still, he's already been cleared for contact, right? He didn't, for all reports, we haven't heard anything that suggests that playing that playoff game set him back or anything like that. But at the same time, it's coming off a career-threatening injury. You want to just give him the time. Plus, he hasn't really been there at OTAs. He doesn't need to be there. He's popped in here and there. Today was one of those days that he popped in there, kind of just, I'm sure, learning the system in for meetings and everything like that. But again, at his age, coming off the injury, even though he's already played a game and had that contact, you don't want any freak accidents happening. And I think it's just precautionary to not have him out there right now when they're in shorts and T-shirts. Now, that might change next week during mandatory minicamp. We'll see. But again, there's no rush to get him, working. I don't really think there's no rush to get him working with these guys. He's excited to work with these guys. I would expect him to be ready to go once training camp rolls around. I don't see the rush to have him out there, especially again. Remember, this is just the media portion. He probably was there for walkthroughs this morning before media got their chance to view, because they do walkthroughs, then they go inside for meetings, and they come back out for practice. So there's a definite possibility he was already out there this morning for walkthroughs, just not out there for the media portion of practice.
That's a very good point as well. A lot of people often forget that. JC, before we get to your OTA insights of the day and whatnot, we got a fun one here from Cleve and me, and I'll kind of give my answer before we go around the horn. Mr. Allen, is Baker Mayfield more of a heel or face as of right now in Bucs camp? Meaning, is there more doubters, hate, or more of a welcoming love fest? JC will know more about that, but me as a perspective of a Bucs fan, podcaster, I would say between him and Kyle Trask. Trask is like the babyface jobber right now that you don't expect to pick up a W. You're rooting for the kid because he's a nice little guy, and you're really hoping for him to go out there and kick some ass. But, odds are against him. It's a tough uphill battle where Baker Mayfield, to me right now, time will tell if he's the face or heel out there. He's kind of in a weird middle mode right now, but if I had to put it for Bucs fans right now, he's definitely a face in Twitter, at least in Bucs fans mode. I'd say in the mind of NFL fans, he's more of a heel, but for Bucs fans, face. JC Allen, get into the real question though. How would you answer that? How would you address that? Since you're around the team, you're around the media, what's the perspective of Baker Mayfield, and how does the media necessarily react to him of late, at least?
Yeah, I think the media loves him. He's shown everything, and you ask his teammates. He's definitely a locker room guy. Teammates already love him. You listen to Tristan Wirfs today. He's got a gravitas to him, and he's pulling. The way I would look at it, I think you hit the nail on the head, but I'm going to go one step further for any wrestling fans out there. Trask is Johnny Gargano, right? He did it at the college level, the NXT level, and he's not a guy who has a lot of momentum behind him. He's not a guy, but he's a guy that you root for, a guy that you like, right? He's a guy that you want to see do well. He's Johnny Gargano. And for me,
love that.
To me, Baker Mayfield right now is trying to think, and the only comparison I could really come up with is Baron Corbin. I think he's Baron Corbin, right? He's gone through those different phases. And, maybe he was Happy Corbin a second ago. With the Carolina Panthers and with the Browns, you look at him, JBL Corbin, but I feel like now he's getting back to his roots. He's back to NXT. Lone Wolf Corbin, who a lot of people really liked, and I think that's what Kyle Trask is right now. He's gone through the heel phase. He's still a bit of a heel, but he's making that transition to a heel you can get behind, a guy that you like to root for. I think Baron Corbin. Because I'm not going to go like a big name because obviously he's never been that, but a lot of hype coming into it. He had the lone wolf phase. A lot of people were behind him. Then he transitioned to the poor Corbin. People felt bad for him. Happy Corbin. People hated him. People trashed on him. And now that he's gone to NXT, facing Carmelo Hayes, back to that lone wolf Corbin type deal. I think that's my comparison. To Baker Mayfield right now. We'll see what it comes out. Will he win the championship? We'll find out soon.
And I think hopefully he does. I mean, we'll find out. But I think Cleve and me's satisfied. He says, love the Gargano reference. Don't do me like that, Corbin. Love the lone wolf. Thank you for going on full wrestling comp, JC. Jeremy, would you agree with JC's breakdown? I think he threw some pretty good darts at the board there, if I must say myself, especially at the snap of a finger.
Yeah, what say you?
No, the Gargano one's definitely on point. No, definitely on point on Trask. Like I said, success in college, and then again, no love in the bigger thing WWE, which is sad because Gargano I feel like is a really good wrestler. But that's a good reference. Baron Corbin, I never liked the guy personally. Didn't like any of his phases, but Trask. I'm sorry, not Trask. Baker. I feel like he's definitely getting love from the players. What Wirfs said was pretty on point. Saying how he's been to dinner like I think once a week or every week with Baker and his wife. So I have to say right now, leaning toward Baker, I'd say he's a baby face right now, honestly. He's starting because a lot of people are showing a lot of love for him. Fans are excited that he's here from the most part, but we'll see. Time will tell. He could go heel later on during the preseason and take the job and win the job from Trask. But it's gonna be a fun battle. So I say babyface right now for Baker because I've been seeing nothing but love from him.
And once again, we are here on the Buccateers with JCL and a Pewter Report. J-Lo, lifelong Bucs fan and listener of the show. Stunna, our right-hand man. And before we get to JC's news and notes from OTA, Stunna, I want to get your answer on Tristan Wirfs. Quicker thoughts on Tristan Wirfs, Stunna. We've talked a lot of Jensen to this point. What's your thoughts on the move to left tackle so far for Mr. Wirfs, Stunna?
They're going to pay him. He'll get paid the highest offensive tackle salary. So he needs to, that's a left tackle position. If you're going to pay that kind of money, you might as well put him at left. I hate it as a lineman because it's hard, if you're not used to a left-handed stance, and you pretty much have to be in a left-handed stance at that level. So your left step, kick step, on a pass set. So, but, Tristan Wirfs, he's a freak athlete. He can jump out of a pool. This dude has been a franchise player since he was drafted, and he was a great draft pick. I would like to comment on the Baker situation.
Go ahead.
So Baker Mayfield to me is more like Cody Rhodes, and he got hurt at Cleveland. He was the hero, and he's just a hero to me. But you mentioned Pat Donovan earlier, and this morning he said on 620, if Kyle Trask is not the starter, is he a bust? And I don't have time to call in the radio, but I think if Kyle Trask is not the starter, cannot beat out Baker Mayfield, then he is a bust. And that's just my input.
JC, quick rebuttal on the bust with Trask thing and the Tristan Wirfs thing and Cleveland Me comments. Is this the Buccateers or the Bucs Monday Night Raw show? Awesome stuff, fellas, and God bless Stunna. So we got some blessings on Stunna. Then Loose Cannon's Leprechaun goes, Kyle Trask is a William Regal. So we got a lot of names getting thrown around in the hat right now.
Oh, that's funny. As far as Trask being a bust, it's hard to label him a bust because he was a second round pick, and at that point, the Bucs were set at quarterback. I feel I say this all the time. We should always be developing quarterbacks no matter what. And I think at that point in time, he was the best player on the board. You look at the guys taken selected after him, many of them haven't done much. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad pick. If he becomes a high-end backup, is that considered a bust? I don't know. It's not like the Bucs needed that. I feel like when players are bust, it's more because you needed someone at that position. They didn't step up. They didn't. But he does certainly have an opportunity to win this job. So I don't know if I'd call it a bust. If he's a good backup, then I think that's a win. You look at the track record for quarterbacks taken in the second round, especially at the bottom of the second round. Not many have panned out. Have been Jimmy Garoppolo is the only one that I can think of in recent years that was a bottom of the second round guy.
David Carr, Jalen Hurts.
Bottom of the second round, Stunna, that really panned out, I said. But obviously, yes, those guys taken earlier in the round, I think, they've had good careers. But I don't know if I'd call him a bust per se. And then as far as Tristan Wirfs, we're out there. Our minicamp notes just dropped a couple minutes ago. And I think if you go check those out, you'll see one of Scott's notes was that Tristan Wirfs looks like a natural at left tackle. The footwork's there. He's going to have to work on his left-hand punch a little bit, but that's obviously because he's been punching with his right hand. Tristan said he feels like a newborn baby out there, learning a new system, new thing, learning things every day. But the technique is there, the footwork's there, the athleticism's there. I don't think he will have I don't think we'll see a huge drop off. Now it's a risk for sure, because you're going from an all-pro to what, but as he said today, his fear of failure is driving him. And I think Tristan Wirfs has one of the best work ethics on this team, and I don't think he's going to let this stop him. I think it's going to motivate him. As Stunna said, he's about to be the highest paid offensive tackle in the league come next year, and I think that's probably in the back of his mind as well. He doesn't seem like a money guy to me, but life-changing money, generational wealth is always something players strive for. And with a good season here, he's going to reset the market.
And as you guys have both kind of hinted and alluded to as well, although it's nice having a great right tackle, the left tackle's a cream of the crop, especially with the right-handed quarterback room that the Bucs do have. You want to protect the blind side. Left tackles are where the money is made nowadays. Jeremy, let me ask you this. If the Bucs do not give Trask a chance, there will be another team that will. And then Bobby also adds, thanks for joining us, Bobby, I must say as well. Can't say Trask is a bust, only playing one quarter in Atlanta. So Bobby says pretty much sticking up for Trask in his corner. You can't say he's a bust. And if someone in Tampa doesn't give him a chance, someone else will. Quick thoughts on that, Jeremy?
Like I said, put him with the starters. I've been saying it all offseason. Put him with the starters. You can't call somebody a bust until they play the game. One quarter, not enough. And I was pretty disappointed when he didn't start the Atlanta game because the game was pointless. And, yeah, some other team will probably take a chance on him. I mean, he was a second-round pick. The Bucs invested that pick in him because they do believe in him. Maybe not the coaching staff, but look what happened. I mean, the offensive coordinator last year got canned because he knew what the hell he was doing. I'm sorry, he doesn't. And, yeah, Trask, to me, is not a bust until he gets the opportunity to play with the starters like he did at Florida when he had all those studs, Kyle Pitts, Tony. I mean, we got Mike, Chris, and then Rashad White. I'm expecting big things out of him. So I agree with Bobby. Absolutely. Another team will pick him up. I mean, I feel like he has some value. And the one thing about Trask is he sat 11 years as a backup before he finally got the opportunity. So even if he does lose the job to Baker, which everyone's thinking is going to happen, he may still have a chance to play this season because Baker's got to prove that he can stay healthy because he's been hurt the last couple of years, if you think about it.
I think, too, with Trask, if you look at last year's quarterback class, I think he would have been probably the number one pick. Not overall, but out of the quarterbacks. I think he would have gone ahead of Kenny Pickett. I would not be surprised to learn that teams were interested in trading for Trask last draft as well around that time. I don't think the Bucs, knowing that they had Tom Brady that was going to be hanging up, in the near future, would still last year they would have had going into the season 3 years of control of Kyle Trask. We're ready to give up on him and move off of him so quickly after that investment. But 100%, I think if it doesn't work out here, there's going to be another team that's going to at least give him a shot and bring him in based off his pedigree, based off what he did in college, and based off, all those attributes. So I definitely don't think if it doesn't work out in Tampa, that's it for Kyle Trask. He's going to get another opportunity somewhere else.
Speaking of working out in Tampa, Brashad Perriman kind of bounced here, bounced out, bounced here, bounced out. Never quite made his long-term stay here, but he had some successful moments, including a couple of
paid.
He did get paid, including a couple of Jameis Winston moments, including a moment against the Bills, which Stunna and I were at that game. That was truly incredible to see. JC, I'll let you have the ropes here. Perriman, you think he's going to make the Colts? I think he's a shoo-in to make the Colts roster, first of all. But what was one positive about him when he was a beautiful Buck?
Yeah, I think the Colts receiving room right now, he's got a good shot at making it. The Bills game, I mean, that's about it. I didn't think he warranted a roster spot last year. The Bucs kept him on board. Didn't really suit up too much, and when he did, he didn't really see many snaps. His second stint was probably the Bills game. His first stint, obviously, finishing out the end of the season and earning a big contract with the Jets, and then getting another big contract, I believe, with the Bears before he went to Detroit and was cut preseason. So, I mean, he got paid from his first trip here. His second stint was less memorable besides that Bills overtime winner.
Yeah, I agree. He's been on and off, on and off. 3 stints with the Bucs. We're gonna ask Stunnett these couple of questions, and then we're gonna get into JC's tidbits and notes. Stunnett, Loose Cannon's Leprechaun says I went to take a picture with Trask, and my phone said no. Then he couldn't spell my son's name when he signed the ball. What are your thoughts, Stunnett, about players having fun off the field? Pretty cool to see Trask, hanging with the guys, going to the Arians golf outing, and showing his face. Even though he's competing for the quarterback job, he's trying to make a name for himself in the fan base. I think it's pretty cool. Stunner, what say you?
Anytime a player can interact with the fans, it's always a positive because they professional football does hold such an important value here in the Tampa Bay area. And, that's really your career is so short. As a player, I think you should try to maximize those opportunities and definitely try to be interactive within your community in any level. And I always tell, when we have the guest on here, the players, just go sign a t-shirt and hand it out. Hand out t-shirts and say Buccaneers and sign them. That makes I worked a lot in the inner city of Tampa, and that makes such a because our Buccaneer schools are usually impoverished schools, by the way. So that makes such a difference in these kids' lives, and their light up their eyes and the light up their face that you see when they're around these NFL players is just a really important thing. And I very much commend him for signing autographs and taking pictures.
Kids do love that. I know they do around here. Robbie Gold used to do it all the time. Kicker on the Bears. Real quick, Jeremy, real quick, briefly, and 20 to 30-second thoughts on Kyle Trask interacting with the fans, or just his current status of Trask. Any shot here in Tampa?
No, I mean that's what's up. I mean, being open up to the fans, making himself known, putting his name in there, giving the fans something, give hope for, that he is a fan loved player. Cause he has been kind of quiet, those couple of seasons being under the third quarterback role, but now that he's battling Baker, it's just good for him. And I'm with Stunna. I'm all about signing a couple autographs for the fans, showing love to the fans that paid to watch you play the game.
I agree with you completely. It's Cleveland. Cherry is with us on Facebook. Thanks so much for joining us this evening, Cleve. You are the man, as Loose Cannon Leprechaun says. Just kidding, he's cool. JC, gonna head over to you. Any notes, tidbits, anything that's been standing out to you of late in OTAs, whether it's today, whether it was yesterday, or just anything in the world of Bucs football in general that you've kind of been itching to talk about, or anything fascinating?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I really want fans to know about Baker Mayfield is the trajectory that he had coming out. So obviously that Browns team stunk. They had the first overall pick. He had Hugh Jackson as his head coach. And I always forget his last name, but Todd something was his OC. They got canned in the middle of the season. He had a new offensive coordinator, Freddie Kitchens, and Greg Williams was his head coach to finish out the season. You saw automatically that he improved, finished with 27 touchdowns, got the rookie touchdown record that year, and also finished second in offensive player in the year. His second season, Freddie Kitchens, didn't go the way they wanted to, but that offensive line was atrocious outside Joel Bonatino. That defense wasn't really built up yet. And they had Odell Beckham, but he was still kind of a shell of himself, only had 1,000 yards that season. Didn't really have many weapons. They relied mostly on the ground game. His third season, Stefanski comes in, and it's his best season of his career. And you look at that year, they made the playoffs, 11 wins. And it was really just a look at what this team could do. Almost beat the Chiefs, but Chad Henne came and did some magic when Patrick Mahomes went out. And then his final year, injured his non-thrown shoulder. You had the OBJ drama. It just wasn't, trying to play through that injury just didn't really all click. Last season, traded to the Panthers because they found an upgrade in Deshaun Watson. Anyone says that if you can upgrade from Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson, you wouldn't do it if you could. just crazy. Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback in the league when healthy and playing right. So I think, that gets overstated that they chose Watson over him, but there's a reason. Most people would choose Watson over him. As far as, going to the Panthers, Matt Rule's in Nebraska, good luck. He's a college coach. So you look at that, and then first of all, the system never fit. Then his coach that traded for him gets fired. He's in a quarterback controversy with competition with Sam Darnold and PJ Walker, not knowing what the hell the Panthers are doing down there. Then he gets moved to the Rams and has some success in McVay's offense. His trajectory to me is a lot like Alex Smith. When Alex Smith went to the Chiefs, I think you saw a guy who knew how to manage the game, distribute the ball, and put the Chiefs in good position to win many games. And I think that's what you need out of Baker Mayfield. So I see those two comparisons on his career, and I feel like in this offense, that's what he needs to do. Just manage the game, be a good ball distributor, don't make turnovers, and I think the Bucs can have success, especially with the defense they have. As far as other notes, I think during OTAs, we have seen a rotation between Trask and Baker getting starting reps every other OTA practice. Some crazy reason, every OTA practice we've had, it's Baker's day. So Baker, we're seeing get those reps with the starters. Trask is getting the second team reps. So we really haven't got a chance to see Trask with the starters yet. Mayfield, first time with Evans really out there in OTAs, looked pretty good. Evans did have a couple drops. There was a couple misses as they learned to get in touch with another. Chase Edmonds was back in a limited capacity. Didn't really do any, running back work. He's been out since the start of OTAs, nursing an undisclosed injury. So free agent Ronnie Brown, undrafted free agent Ronnie Brown, stole the show. He had 2 deep touchdown passes, 30-plus yards down the field. This guy was a do-it-all running back, and he's got a good shot at sticking around the practice squad, potentially making it as the 4th guy on this team, or 5 if they go 5 for sure. If you look at what the Bucs have done, Trey Palmer has continued to shine just as a red zone threat, hauling in touchdowns. His speed on vertical routes is there. He's got good quickness, the ability to separate in tight quarters. So, he's another guy who has impressed. Cade Warner, another guy who just finds a way to get open, man. I don't know. He doesn't have good quickness, separation speed, but he just finds a way to get open and he catches everything thrown his way. So I think that's another a good tip. Logan Hall looks good, guys. Like he beefed up. You can see the quickness. Today he had a very active day in the run game, shut down several runs, had a pass batted down on Baker Mayfield. He's 6'6", he's beefed up, and he's got speed and athleticism. So he looks more confident in his reads, just confident in general going into training camp, which I think is going to help this Bucs team and why they felt so comfortable, not addressing it more in free agency outside of Greg Gaines. I think when you look at what Coach George Edwards is doing, we've seen a lot of practice time utilized on dropping into coverage and coming down with catches, intercepting the ball works. Obviously, we know they're going to be blitzing a lot, but it's something that Bowles loves to do is drop his guys in coverage. We saw, JTS almost had an interception. Anthony Nelson had an interception that was called back. We've seen him drop Vita Vea in coverage. So he likes to be very multiple with his looks, and they're just working on that. Jose Ramirez continues to splash. He's, just a smart guy. Cade Warner dropped the pass behind the line of scrimmage, which, as we know, is a fumble. Ramirez knew it was a live ball, scooped it up for a touchdown before Warner could get to it. So it's another, just a heady play by a rookie coming in, understanding the basics of football. Devin White, Levante David haven't been at OTAs at all. KJ Britt has missed a couple OTAs, especially the last 2 that we were able to see. So Servatier Dennis has been getting those reps as a starter, which is going to be huge for him as he goes into training camp. One of the biggest knocks on him was his coverage ability because they used him as a blitzer because he was so effective at it in Pittsburgh. The first day of rookie minicamp, guy comes down with an interception. Second day of minicamp, we all seen that one-handed leaping catch that he made in drills. He had a big pass breakup today, almost came down with an interception. So he just continues to show out. Jamel Dean, who returned to OTAs last week for the first time, had 2 pass breakups, dynamic ones. One, he just timed his jump and just got on a pass from Baker to Trey Palmer, knocked it down. Another one, he was able to bat down a pass from Mike Evans in the end zone. Antoine Winfield Jr. would have had a sack if it was live, but they let it keep going as they do. So he's just continuing to just show out his dominance. He just needs to come down with a few more. And Zion McCollum, Carlton Davis returning today. He's been a guy that's playing mostly outside. That's going to be his spot. He's not going to really work in the slot at all. Thank goodness. But he had a nice touchdown, a pass breakup on a touchdown that went to Evans. And lastly, because I know we got to run here, Luke Gedeke, he continues to just look good at right tackle. His pass protection has always been his point of emphasis on him getting better at that. He's been a dominant run blocker since his days in college. He looks more comfortable. He looks natural there, especially throwing his right hand, as opposed to his left hand, which they asked him to do at guard. It just looks to see. Obviously, Pat's got to come on. We got to see that offensive line is so hard to tell, but as far as technique-wise, he looks a lot better there. Moving to that right side. And if you want to learn more about Luke Gedeke, you want to hear more about his transition back from left guard to right tackle, make sure you tune into the Pewter Report podcast on Thursday, where Luke Gedeke will be a guest of ours.
Wow, that's great to hear. I like Luke Gedeke.
All moves. Can you hit on the tight end battle real quick, JC?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, the tight ends, it's not really a battle. Cade Otton is going to be the number 1 guy. He actually made a good play today. The tight ends weren't featured as much today in practice. It was more wide receivers and backs. But he had a nice touchdown at the end of practice from Kyle Trask. I think Payne Durham he's going to have to continue to get up to speed. I know we just relied on 2 rookies last year, but it's hard to rely on rookies. He's going to be more of that red zone threat as he continues to. He's a hard worker. Guy's going to know the playbook by the time training camp comes around. But we'll just have to see what he does. Ko Kieft will be in that, special teams tight end 3 role as a blocker, play a little H-back, fullback for the team. I don't think there's much of a competition. I don't see guys like Daphne or Tanataula or any of these other guys sticking around. Maybe on the practice squad. I think they maybe we'll keep 1 or 2 of them on the practice squad in case injuries. But I think the tight end room is pretty much clear cut. You've got 3 guys there that are all going to make the team and can contribute in a variety of ways.
That's great to hear. We love our tight ends here. We just got over the Gronk and Bray era, which, was a beautiful era for tight ends of Bucs football. And O.J. Howard was in there at a point in time when he was a tight end 3. That wasn't too bad. Christine Provenzano is joining us on Facebook. Thanks a ton. Real quick here, going to go around the room, rapid fire question for everyone. Then we're going to do our one big thing and walk off. Jeremy, you're first. Shaquille Barrett changing to number 7. Thoughts on Shaq Barrett changing numbers, and not only changing numbers, scooping up one that was just occupied by Super Bowl champion Lenny F. Are you glad he's changing to 7, or will it be a little different for you?
It's going to be a little different seeing him with number 7, because I was so used to seeing him 58. But you know what? Maybe he wanted to change. Maybe he wanted to kind of put last year, behind him and go with a new number, new motivation. So I can dig it. Number 7, I'm all for it. I just can't wait to see him get back on the field. Hopefully maybe not fully healthy, but hopefully somewhat healthy. And we get somewhat of the 2020 Shaq Barrett, not 19, but like a 2020 Shaq Barrett, getting pressure, getting after the quarterback, and with the youngsters we brought in to put behind him, we got plenty of depth now as pass rushers to get to the quarterback, because that's what killed us in the playoff game. Couldn't get no pressure. Mm-hmm. But like I said, prayers out to Shaq Barrett. Hopefully him and his family are doing okay. That's my biggest prayer, family first. And then when you're ready to come back, we'll be waiting for you, big dog.
Yeah, we love Shaq, and we hope the Mooch man is doing well. I know it's been a terrible offseason for him, something nobody could speak into words or even imagine. It's one of those losses that you truly never recover from. But Bucs fans and Bucs family are going to do our best to be there and support him and continue to uplift number 58, or number 7 now, I should say, number 7 in the program, but number 1 in our heart. Shaq Barrett and his family is with us throughout. JC, this one's for you, and then we'll get to Stunna's questions. And our last words here is we're on the Buccateers. You guys are tuned in right now on YouTube, on Facebook Live of Bucs Life News and more. You can catch the replay on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. JC, when gambling problems like this occur in the NFL, do the Bucs do anything more precautionary to avoid one of their own going down for gambling? Bucs had a COVID scare a couple of years back with fake vax cards. Never a COVID problem yet, but we did have a fake vax card problem. Do you think this affects the way the Bucs are vetting people or trying to handicap their players in terms of off-season activities?
Well, I think, these players are seeing the suspensions going around, and they know what's up. But Todd Bowles specifically spoke on that. He's going to address the entire team next week at mandatory minicamp and let them know, hey, gambling in the facility on our grounds at all is not okay. Obviously, it came out that DraftKings and some of these other sports books are snitches. Snitches get stitches. So really, they are cooperating with the NFL and saying, okay, these bets were placed here at this time, when and where, etc. So it's something that players need to be worried about. Now, gambling on football in any way is illegal. I'm not sure if they consider DraftKings or one of these FanDuel or anything like that gambling fantasy football. We know a lot of players play fantasy football, but that's usually that money is interchanged not on a site, so it's not regulated. So I think when you take that into perspective, they don't have really anything to worry about there. As far as other sports, it is perfectly legal for players to gamble on those other sports, just not inside any facility that is owned and operated by an NFL team. Another plus for the Buccaneers is Florida is currently one of these states that can't get their heads out of their ass amongst many of these issues that would bring in a ton of capital to the state, a ton of taxes to the state, and sports gambling is one of them. You're not allowed to legally gamble in the state of Florida on sports. So there's really not much for these Bucs players to worry about in that sense. Any gambling they're going to be doing is going to be through a third-party agency, which highly, highly doubt if they're allowing Florida bettors. They're not going to be cooperating with the NFL. But still, it's going to be a point of emphasis that, hey, guys, you need to know when we're in a different stadium, in a different state where it might be legal, you can't do it. Mm-hmm. Just be aware of what you're doing. Never under any circumstances gamble on the NFL because you're going to lose your paycheck. You're going to lose a year of your career. And as we know, most NFL careers are 3 years or less. I mean, you look at all the guys who've been playing for X amount of years. You think about all the guys who come out of college in the draft that never even see it down. You think of all the undrafted free agents that come out that never see it down. I mean, there's going to be thousands of players cut and without a job at the end of August. Those players have never seen a down of NFL football and never will. So, it's going to be a point of emphasis, but where the Bucs are concerned in Florida, where you can't gamble on sports legally, you can't download one of these apps to gamble on sports. It's going to be one of those things where it should be pretty much a moot point. Again, unless they consider DraftKings gambling. But again, if you're doing DraftKings lineups and stuff like that, it's just best to do it off premises. Go to Panera right down the street from the facility and do it there.
And that's where Jameson Williams on the Lions screwed up. He bet on college football, but he was within his own facility, got doxxed for it, and then he got suspended. So, the NFL lays in bed with these sports books and sports places. They're sponsored all over. Stadium names are after him and whatnot. But it's a fine line with players, and that's why we didn't see sports franchises in Las Vegas forever when Vegas was the only legalized sports venture in the world, sports state in the world. Sports wanted to stay out of there. So, not a lot of traffic would be in and out of there. Sports people making sports bet in the world. I was telling my buddy this today. It'd be hilarious if now it would never happen. So don't worry, sports bettors. But if only the states without professional sports teams allowed gambling on sports, like if you had a flee to a Montana or an Idaho or a South Dakota or North Dakota, just to make a little sports wager like Vegas used to be back in the day. But very interesting stuff there. We're going to get to our Around the Horn and last word here in a minute, as it's already been 51 minutes here on a great show of the Buccateers with JC Allen, J-Lo, and Stunna. Stunna, real quick, can you dig it? A Booker T reference. And thoughts on that whole AB Vax thing, quick, and then your last words and walk-off, Stunna. If Stunna's even with us, Stunna might be on to greener pastures by now.
No. I'm here. I'm sorry.
No,
Nah,
you're
man.
good.
Yeah. You think he gave me an opportunity to slay Rick Stroud? You think I'm going to pass that up? Come on. So this guy overfishes. He got no business going into, looking into these guys' private lives. They just had it out for AB, and they were willing to do whatever they could to burn him. And they took down Mike Edwards along the way. And Mike Edwards is no longer a Buccaneer, unfortunately. But just because he got his little chaps burned, he wanted to go after AB, and he messed up our whole organization in the process. But this guy got Urban Meyer fired too, so. That's just his style. My walk off. I'm just really looking forward to the season, and I want to see what our defense looks like. I think that was mentioned earlier, but we had opportunity last year to shut the door. I think someone mentioned the Dallas playoff game. Our offense is kind of what hurt us in that game, but throughout the season, if our offense showed they weren't going to score, like if you're a 2002, 1999 Buccaneer fan, our defense could still keep us in the games. We might, when our offense didn't show up, we would lose games like 14-7 or something. But last year, when I showed that our offense was going to show up, our defense let the other team rout us. And so I really want to see our defense show up and play, go back to the old Bucs style where we limit our opponents to scoring and we really smack people in the mouth. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Other than that, fire the cannons. Let's get after it. Go Bucs.
Yeah, that AB. I will say this about Rick Stroud, and he's one of those guys who's been ho hum off on for years and years. And the Tampa Bay Times is used to really criticizing our Tampa sports players. I think Mark Topkins done a terrible job of late. Really not being fair to Wander Franco, really not being fair to Randy Arozarena. And the weird thing with Rick Stroud, I feel like the vaxing, well, maybe a little bit fishing for Mike Edwards. Antonio Brown, whatever, he caused his own problem. But the Urban Meyer getting fired thing was terrible on Rick Stroud's behalf. And the story ended up being totally fabricated. The kicker said it himself, and Urban Meyer said it himself. So, I think the media has really got to tiptoe around putting out stories, especially when they're not their own teams, right? Stroud doesn't even cover the Jaguars. Here, I mean, Urban Meyer deserved to get fired as well. Maybe not over this situation, but, Stroud's been in a lot of fine lines over the years, or I should say Tampa Bay Times has been in some fine lines of walking with the Rays and with the Bucs and a lot of their fans. So interesting to see yet again there as we get a comment from Twitter saying not a Stroud fan. So more people not fans of Stroud, but I'm gonna leave Stroud alone. He does bring some Bucs news to the table here and there, but let's just say fans think he could do a little bit better. Jeremy, thanks for joining us this evening. J-Lo, what's your one last word and walk off here in the program? Thanks again, buddy. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate me on, man. Well, first off, screw AB. I got nothing
Correct.
but. I mean, thank you for the Super Bowl, but screw you for the next year. What you did and put
He
this
dug his
football
own
team
grave.
through. He did. But I will say I'm really excited, when it comes to training camp to see the QB battle it out. I'm curious to see this new offensive scheme that Canales is bringing here. I see big things out of Rashad White. I think this kid's going to have a mega year, and no one's really talking about him as much outside, the Bucs, which is fine. Let them doubt. Just like all these other, PFF people doubting us, that's fine. Doubt us. But at the end of the day, let's put the helmets on. Let's see what they got in preseason. And I'm curious to see how fast our defense is going to be now that we got some of these youngsters that we drafted. Kalijah Cansey, the dude looks pretty like the real deal. I'm really curious to see when he gets his one-on-ones with Vita Vea, taking on double teams. You know, like Scott Reynolds said, Vita Vea is not going to lead the team in sacks this year. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
And
and I think that's a good point. Keep going though.
no, no, and most of all, you know, like I said, Kyle Trask, hey, go out there and ball, man. Go out there, give it all you got. Like I said, I'm happy we have Baker, but at the same time, Trask is going to get the opportunity to go out there and showcase why he deserves to be the starter. And I feel like, you know, if he starts, cool. If not, let's roll with Baker. Let's see if we can stay healthy, big dog. Because at the end of the day, the division's wide open. I don't care what anybody says. You know, they're showing pictures of Michael Thomas and Derek Carr vibing, whoop-de-doo. Play full season, bro. Come on. 2019, it's been a long time, brother. Let's see what you really got playing a full season. So, like I said, go Bucks. I say 8 to 10 wins coming this season, and fire the cannons, people. Like I said, we're getting close, getting down to the nitty gritty. You know, just be ready, man. It's gonna be a fun season coming.
And the man from Death Valley weighing in at millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. Our buddy JC Allen, the greatest from Pewter Report, the best in the business, the best Bucks coverage around. You can find him at JC Allen NFL. He is a man of many words on Twitter. You could hear him on WDAE. You could keep up with all of his great content on Twitter, like I mentioned. And again, he's a VP of Pro Football Writers of the Tampa chapter, so that's incredible as well. Barbecue enthusiast, whiskey connoisseur. We should change that to bourbon, but that's okay. We'll let him go with the pass this time around, as he's great. We love you, JC. Thanks so much, buddy, for always throwing down the tremendous insight. It's really phenomenal. I think you're the best in the biz for Buck stuff. There's a lot of great ones. I'm not knocking anyone, but we love having you here. Any last words or thoughts for the program, sir?
Obviously, I appreciate that. You know, it's you know, I'm gonna sound like a broken record and like a player here, but it's not. It's not just me. Yeah, I put the work in. Yeah, I try to do the best I can to give you guys the best coverage. But ultimately, you know, a lot of my respect and a lot of my flowers and gratitude goes out to Bucks fans for first welcoming this Boston kid into your Bucks coverage and following me and supporting me and you know just giving me that audience to give you guys some good insight into this team and everything like that. One thing on Stroud, I think fans got to remember is that his job is to break news and cover news. That's your job as a team reporter. And Stroud, you know, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's had some things. He's been critical on the Bucks, and that's going to be something that Bucks fans don't like. I was critical on the Bucks. I've been critical on the Bucks. I keep getting shit for saying that Mike Evans wouldn't get 1,000 yards last year. Still getting shit for that. But you know, it's just one of these things where you're either gonna vibe with us or not gonna vibe with us. As I told the great Casey Hudson when she had some haters commenting on her, you know, if for every hater you get, find 10 more.
Well,
Because
my
there's gonna
thing
be
is,
people that vibe
I
with you and people that don't.
I don't necessarily mind Rick Stroud and his Bucks criticism, but fabricating the Jaguars story, a team he doesn't
Yeah,
really
that was.
cover.
I don't know if he was fabricating that. I'm sure he just got bad intel. You know, you're gonna get bad intel
Right.
sometimes, and it's not gonna be right. Sometimes you're gonna get good intel. So, and that's when you run with it. But you know, you either look like a hero or a villain depending on if your intel
It's a
was
tough
true or
job,
not.
man.
So, it is. It can be tough, especially relationships and etc. But last words, just to kind of echo what Jeremy was saying, I think this Bucks team is really going to surprise a lot of people. I think with the offense Canales is establishing and setting up this year, it's really going to play to some of the Bucks' strengths. I know offensive line is a big question mark for a lot of people. Obviously, you're losing, some important guys that you'd continue to lose. Donovan Smith, for whatever he was and was not, was at least a pro who had multiple game starting experience, Iron Man, and now you're turning it over to Luke Gedeke, who has one game of starting experience at right tackle. He looked pretty damn good in it, and it was the best game. But those shorter arms that he has, I make a lot of people question whether he can hold up at right tackle, especially now since pass rushers are coming from both sides and are equally as dominant from both sides. And there's teams that have focused on pass rushing and have generally the good teams that you're going to face have two good rushers on both sides.
Mhm.
So I think there's definitely some question marks there, but this offense is going to be completely different last year when it was just best on best, and we're going to beat you with our guys. We're not going to do too much schematically. We're not going to do too much to disguise what we're doing. We're just going to run it because we feel like our guys can beat you. And last year, that just simply wasn't the case due to injuries and just teams figuring out the offense because of how archaic it was and because of how little they changed and how little they did stuff. This is going to be a completely different offense, and I think it's going to help these players at every position. Wide receiver, put them in space to make plays and get yards after the catch, move the chains. Running backs, I think the zone concept is going to give them the ability to use their vision and patience to find holes, burst through them, gain yardage. It's going to help the offensive linemen, especially the guys that the Bucs have with their athleticism, be able to get out in space, move, pull, get to the second level and really open up some nice holes for running yards, and also for the quarterback, just to be able to simplify things. They're going to take some shots down the field. Don't get me wrong. And Josh Capo had a great article at Pewter Report demonstrating what this offense could look like and some of the things they're going to do. But for the most part, these are going to be short to intermediate routes, moving the chain. It's going to be a chain moving offense. And that's why I think whether it's Baker or Trask, all you really need to do is just be able to manage the game, move the ball, don't make mistakes, and this offense is going to find some success. The defense, they just need to do what they did last year, but just be faster, get more turnovers, and get more sacks. And I think they're set up for that. The coaching that they brought in with George Edwards should help with the pressures converting into sacks. Obviously, Shaq Barrett is a big part of that. Can he come back from his Achilles in full strength? Joe Tryon-Trinka finishing, but both of those guys still have pressures galore. I mean, even Shaq Barrett has been, before last season when he went down, has been a top 3 in pressures over the last 4 seasons since he came to Tampa Bay. Pressures affected the quarterback's ability to get a good ball off. So even if it's not a sack, which you want, obviously, because that takes it down away, it backs them up. But, pressures can equally affect the ball game. And I think Joe Tryon-Trinka, where he doesn't get enough recognition, is his ability to pressure the quarterback. Yeah, he needs to finish, but he can still pressure him like the best of them. And with Edwards there, it's going to help. Jamel Dean's a top 10 cornerback in this league. Carlton Davis is a top 20 cornerback in this league. They don't get enough flowers. Antoine Winfield Jr., top 10 safety. Ryan Neal's coming off his best season of his career. He's playing in a very safety-friendly offense with Todd Bowles, loves to move these guys around, was PFF's highest-rated safety last year. They got a question mark at nickel, that's for sure. Will Devin White show up? I think he will. Will he play better? I think he has to if he wants to make that money. Levante David, even though he's slowed down a bit, the impact plays aren't there. He's still one of the best to ever do it. They still got Vita Vea taking up 2 blockers, and I think can't see Logan Hall, Greg Gaines, and that rotation they'll have in there is going to really do some work against them too. So I like what they have. I think special teams got better. Chase McLaughlin gives you range. Jake Camarda's quickly becoming one of the best punters in the league. They got to get better on special teams units, but they got faster at nearly every and younger at nearly every position that really matters on special teams. So I think those units will do better at all. It really just comes down to, can this offense perform? Can they stay healthy? Really is the biggest thing. And I think going into next year, I think you have to be really optimistic. Even though the national outlook isn't there, I think as a Bucs fan, you need to really kind of have the outlook that there's a lot of optimism around this team. There's a lot of talent on this team. And that's especially if you look at the PFF rankings, the Bucs have nearly at least one player on these rankings,
Wow.
in there. So, it just says that the talent that speaks on this team. So other than that, sorry, Olivia, I know we had a 7:30 cap, but we get talking Bucs and we go forever. But yeah, guys, follow me at JC Allen NFL on Twitter. Follow us at Pewter Report on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us Pewter Report TV on YouTube, and don't forget we'll have Luke Gedeke in the building on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Tones, thanks for having me on, my man.
Everybody remember to catch Luke Gedeke on Pewter Report Thursday night, 7 p.m. Great stuff there. They just had Rashad White on. Last year had Kalen Geiger, so many more gentlemen on as well. So Pewter Report's always bringing the heat with the players, always bringing great content. They got some of the best around. They got JCL and they got Joshua Capo, obviously Scott Reynolds, Matt Matera, Bailey Adams. They're also great over at Pewter Report. We respect
We
your
just
guys'
got
work.
James Hill too, Mr. Bucs Nation, now aboard the Pewter Report squad.
I've seen that. He's making some content, Mr. Bucks.
Hey, we
Nation's
want him
gonna
on the
be there.
Buccateers one night.
Yeah,
Well-
I'm sure he'll be down to come on.
Yeah, we could make that happen. He's a really good guy. I met him at the Arians Family Foundation golf outing last year. Really nice guy. Bucks Media is actually really good people at the end of the day, and we appreciate those like JC Allen. And we love our Pewter Report stuff. So that's amazing stuff there, everybody. As JC said, sorry, Olivia. But hey, I shouldn't be fooling anyone. I knew with guys like JC and Jeremy on, we'd go the extra mile because
I'm a
there's-
talker.
yeah,
Hey,
I
hey,
can
shout
talk.
out to Olivia. Happy birthday for real.
Happy birthday,
Let her know
Olivia.
My apologies for keeping you away.
The gentleman said it, Olive, not me. They're apologizing. They're saying happy birthday. It's great vibes here on the Buccateers. I'm sure she's going to appreciate it greatly, as I appreciated JC and Jeremy greatly, and Stunnett's time as well. Gentlemen, it's been a hell of an episode. Love all you guys. Thanks so much for joining. Make sure you gentlemen and ladies listening, keep up with JCL and keep up with Pewter Report. We're going to have him on here more throughout the off season and the regular season, hopefully.
Who's
And
with that?
amen to that, and Jeremy as well. So we got our wrestling fans and our Bucks contributors in full steam. Thanks again, JC and the boys. We appreciate it. JC, stay blessed, brother.
Awesome. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all you guys. Enjoy your Tuesday night. If you're listening here to the Buccateers, we love everybody. Fire the damn cannon. Stunna, go Bucks.
Go
Jeremy,
Bucks,
go
baby.
Bucks as well, buddy.
Only time.
Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But